There we go.
Since we're live.
Hello.
Good evening.
All right.
Hope we're on.
I think we're on. Let's see if it's working this time. A couple months ago, we had some serious technical difficulties, but everything looks okay tonight. So, welcome to the virtual tasting.
Well,
I have to move this camera.
hope everyone had a good day. So,
yeah.
okay. Well,
We'll jump into cheese one.
We shall. Well, good evening. Welcome, everyone. How many we get? We got a few on, not too many tonight. We should have just had everybody over at the house with a small group.
I know. Maybe we'll do a party next week in
Maybe.
May.
We'll see what response we get. So, okay. Well, good to have you. We're going to start out with the redneck. I'm going to tell you a little story how we got the name redneck. I kind of set up my wife on this one, plotted her right into it. But what happened was we made this cheese with the beer, and we didn't have a name, of course, and we were just calling it beer cheese. And I suggested, and I usually don't come up with very good names, but I suggested that we should name it Redneck Cheddar. And so, of course, Connie is like, no, we can't do that. And we had some customers in the store and asked about the name. And I says, well, I was thinking maybe like Redneck Cheddar or something like that. And everybody at the counter was like, oh, yes, you got to name it that. So my son Jesse was in the office, and I said, hey, Jesse, print up some Redneck Cheddar labels. And it stuck. So Connie kind of got overruled on that one, but it's a fun story now.
Yeah, and it's become the cheese we're most well known for. So
absolutely.
A lot of people know us as the Redneck Cheddar people. They don't even know the name Veldhuizen, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell them about kind of how you do that.
Okay, so the Redneck Cheddar it's just a cheddar base, and then we'll go through the process of cutting the curd and leaving the curd mat up on the bottom of the vat for about an hour and a half as the acid is producing, and then drain it. Its gravity is kind of pressing a little whey out of it. And then when we do the milling, we'll be adding salt at that point. So we just chop it all down into smaller pieces. And then we add the beer. So as the salt is being added, we add the beer also. And you can tell them where we get the beer from.
Yes, we get the beer from Houston, Texas, Spindle Tap Brewery. And it is about a 14%. It's a Russian-style stout, so it's a really serious beer. It's called Asiete Crudo, which roughly translated means crude oil. And so it really is a very dark, thick beer. We made a batch for them. They have a pizza kitchen next to their brewery, and so they wanted some redneck with their beer. When we made it, it was so good, we decided to use that. We used to use Shiner, which was good too, but the craft beer world has changed so much in Texas. We kind of thought it'd be fun to kind of move towards a little more of a smaller craft company. And I think it's been a good change. Everybody seems to enjoy it, and it just gives it a little bit more of that robust malty flavor.
Yeah, it really does have more of a malty finish than it used to.
Yeah.
And even a little marbling through on some of it. It varies a little bit on the texture of the cheese sometimes, but you can see a little maltiness, a little color through the cheese, a little marbling almost.
Yep.
So
for sure. So yeah, this batch is just a little bit of a younger. This is a nice mild cheese. So you definitely get that really malty, kind of almost yeasty finish, but it's very creamy. This is a great melter. So that's why we kind of did a suggestion on top of pizza with this, because it's really a nice melter. You can do mac and cheese. You can do a lot of stuff. Burgers are great with this. So there's all kinds of fun things.
I was down in Houston. I even had some restaurants that make cheesy fries with the Redneck Cheddar.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does melt nice.
Right.
It melts better than just a normal cheddar.
Right, yeah.
So there's something with the probably the yeast in the beer that the cheddar cheese will still melt really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And because obviously, most cheddars aren't real great melters. You'll get a little bit of fat separation.
Here, cheese here.
But with this one, you really don't get fat separation. So it's definitely the beer that kind of makes that cheese a nice melter.
So we hope you guys enjoy that one. We haven't sent that in Cheese Club yet, and I thought, that is kind of our signature, so I thought people would kind of like to try that. So the next one we've got is a kind of a new experimental thing we started doing just recently. We're calling it Whiskey Hollow right now. So this is our Dublin Karst base, which is one of Stuart Signature's cheeses, and then we injected it, just infused it with a whiskey. So we used a Balcone smoky whiskey that we put right directly into the cheese. So
after it's aged. So we'll age it for about 60 days, 60, 70 days. And then we just have a kind of a stainless steel long needle that we just can inject the whiskey into it. And then we leave it soak for about, a week or something like that. So that's kind of what we've been playing around with. It's kind of a new one that we just started, toying with. So the Dublin Karst is, a really, really nice base. And I wanted something that was normally a little more open texture. This one here is kind of interesting. Some of it in the club that went out, there was some that was more open texture than others. This one actually is not as much, but we still got a really great whiskey flavor on this, little hint of sweetness to it. And,
it's really fun. And it's really even more creamy. It's like added kind of an element of kind of softness into the cheese again. So
but I like the one that has a little bigger holes in. It's kind of cool too.
Yeah,
and
I think we ended up using 2 different batches. So some,
you'll have a little different.
Closed, some was a little bit more open. Mm-hmm.
So Dublin Karst has been kind of a interesting cheese. When I developed this one, we were going through a drought time, so the cows were all on dry hay, and the texture wasn't very open. And then when we got some green grass, again with rain, and then I made a batch, and I was just like, oh my goodness, this is incredible, because the color changed, but the flavors really intensified. And then the texture was a little more open. Mm-hmm. So it's, I really like it when we have rain, of course. And because I really feel with the Dublin Karst, it really makes a huge, huge difference. Mm-hmm. So,
that good green
grass. But yeah, you get almost a little Swiss action going on with eye formation when you have nice green grass. And in fact, sometimes you can actually get too much. It can really blow up. So, to get too much gas formation, we have some ways to control some of that, but it's a beautiful cheese. And then, we were kind of playing around with something new and decided to do a little experiment with the whiskey. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful cheese.
Yeah. Let us know any comments you have on that one. 'Cause this is really, you're the kind of the first group of people to really try this one. We're not selling this in the store yet. You guys are really the first group to get this. So any feedback you guys have, just let us know any thoughts you might have. Now we are pairing this with a mesquite bean jelly. And so if you put this jelly right onto this cheese, and we taste this together, it is, I think, really a fun pairing. And when we tasted it, the first one said was, this tastes like Christmas. So it's really interesting. This mesquite bean jelly has got kind of a woodiness to it, but when you put it with the cheese, there's almost like a hint of cinnamon that kind of comes out. There's no cinnamon anywhere, but it's just kind of, comes out on the palate. So
this is actually the first time I paired this one. So it's really good. Mm-hmm. I always trust my pairings with Chelsea because she actually inherited my palate. So it's kind of been, fun with the family thing. How that
we always like the same things.
Yes, we do. She'll come home sometime and say, "Oh, you got to try this wine. I know you'll love it."
Makes it easy to buy food for them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this mesquite bean jelly we get from Slowpoke Farm, and they're in Cisco, Texas. And there's a couple there that they really make all of their foods, and they have a little restaurant. with just a small kitchen, and they make elderberry syrup and jams, and they bake a lot of different things in there. So they do a lot in their little kitchen. But they brought us a little sample of this, and I thought that'd just be a really fun little Texas treat to pair with some of our cheeses. So hope you
Yeah.
guys enjoy that.
That's a beautiful one.
We also paired it with the redneck, and I forgot to mention that earlier, but you can go back and pair that. We like it a lot better with the karst, but it's actually pretty good with the redneck in a different way. There's just totally different flavors that come out. But that's kind of the fun with some of these accompaniments. You can just taste them with the different cheeses and see how differently things come out when you pair it with different things. So
Yeah, it's a whole different culture that I use between the redneck and the karst. So it'll really change your flavors, and but it's just a whole different type of cheese too. So yeah. Okay, well, Java Brewlicious. That's we made one before.
we did a
But
coffee rub last December.
We did a coffee rub last
Mhm.
December on the cheddar.
Yep.
But we did a Java Brewlicious the one other time.
Well,
When did
that
we
was
do
last December for cheese club.
Oh, okay.
We sent that one out. that
Okay.
coffee
So,
rub cheddar.
that's right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So we did change it quite a bit. Wanted to try something a little new, but we feel this really turned out a lot better. So it's kind of interesting what I did with this one. I basically made a Gouda, but normally with Gouda, you always do a washed curd because that's what makes Gouda. And what that means is right after when I add the rennet and we leave it set up for an hour, the flies love it too. And then when we cut the curd, I'll stir it for only 10 minutes or so, drain some whey out, and then we add about whatever amount of whey. So if it's 18-20% of whey, we drain it out, and then we add water to that. And what that does is washing the curd. So you're washing lactose away from the curd, and then you get a really nice, smooth, silky texture. So that's why Gouda is always, really nice on the palate, and it's silky and smooth. And so I wanted that for this one. But the trouble is on the end, usually with Gouda, you put all the curd kind of tight in the vat and let it all mat together. Well, if I was going to mix coffee with it, that wasn't going to work. So what we did is we kind of blended two different types of cheese making. We kind of blended the Havarti style at the end. So we did the Gouda on the beginning, and we kind of went and changed it to a Havarti style on the end, and we stirred the curd to put the coffee into it. So we got coffee that was ground really fine, mixed it in, and then we let it set. So it was a little different, and that's why we have a little more eye formation in this too, and it's a little more open texture than what most Goudas are. So that's why it's not really a Gouda either. So we kind of messed around with it a little bit, but I'm really, really happy with it, how it turned out. Because when you do these experiments, especially with coffee, you just never know, honestly.
But it's really soft and nice. And so the wonderful thing with this one is, like, when we first poured it and we kind of pushed the core into the wheel, it just kind of pushed right in. And I thought, oh my, this almost seems spreadable. Well, it's not that soft, of course, but you'll notice when you cut it with a knife, it just sticks to the knife. So it's
you almost need a wire to cut this one.
Yeah, it's just such a soft cheese, which it's beautiful. So then you do get just a little grit every now and then of that espresso, because we did just a really fine ground espresso, but it's not like, I wouldn't say gritty, but you do get just a little bit of, just a hint of that texture in there once in a while.
Right.
So.
But that's fun cheese.
It's really fun.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Pretty much enjoyed this one quite a lot.
Yeah.
A little hints of smokiness to it too. Yeah. You kind of pick up from the coffee, and
you get a little coffeeness there, especially on the finish. Oh yeah. So.
But yeah.
Let us know again what you guys think.
Yeah. Yep. Any feedback? So then one of the pairings we tried this with is the cinnamon pecan. So you can just grab a pecan and put it with a little piece of cheese. It's kind of a nice, fun pairing just to add that little bit of cinnamon and sweet with it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that cheese is
Beautiful.
so soft.
Great pairing.
It's
there,
almost
too.
like a cheese covered pecan at that
Mm,
point.
yeah, really.
It's a chocolate covered.
It's beautiful.
So that was fun.
Okay. Well, excellent. Let us know what you think of that one. And then we got our garlic dill Havarti. So we have made this one before. I think only one time. It was the second time I think we made it.
Yeah, second or third. I don't know.
Yeah.
Years go too fast. But
So a little more garlicky this time. So
yeah. When I first tasted, I said, "How much garlic did you put in there?" He goes, "I don't know, a little extra." I said, "Well, I can really tell." So a little more garlicky than last year. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a little
Well-
more. I'd say a little more garlicky than dilly.
Well, it's kind of interesting with it. It's hard to know sometimes when you're in the middle of it. And since we had a different batch size when we did the first time, I was tasting it, but you're kind of in the room with all the aroma. And I was like, I think I'm just going to put the rest of it in. So I did it. And then it maybe is a little more garlic than it maybe should have had, but it still turned out really, really well. But it's kind of fun what goes on behind the scenes sometimes because of, when people taste it, they're like, "How much garlic did you use?" And but I think it turned out really well. This was always a fun. I like this one at Christmas time
I
too.
do too. Yeah, I think it's really nice to put onto it. If you're doing get-togethers and stuff, it's just really a fun cheese to add on there. Feels kind of wintry and it's pretty. It's got the little green spackles in
Oh,
there.
absolutely. It's beautiful.
So hopefully that's a fun addition if you're doing any
And great
holiday gatherings,
And great texture.
Yeah.
That with crackers is just beautiful.
Yeah. There's not
It's
a lot
perfect.
of pairing. I mean, we didn't really do a lot of suggested pairings on this one just because all those flavors are so intense.
Yeah.
But it's excellent just, to add onto a board, melt over certain things, eggs or any kind of a toast, something, just something.
We should have
like
tried a grilled cheese with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I bet it'd be really good.
Maybe that's
Probably with a little bit of meat on
maybe
there
lunch
too.
tomorrow. So
Yeah. Somebody try
that
it.
out.
I'll try it too. We'll see it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be really
Really
good.
good. Try it tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, the last one, our Parmesan. So I don't make this a lot, and but I think if I remember right, I had some low fat milk. So Parmesan is always made with a lower fat milk because you want it to get harder, and with too much fat in, it's hard to get it harder. Difficult to get it harder. So I think we had like a triple cream blue, and so
That's
I had a lot of
usually when you
skim
made
milk.
this,
Yeah. So I had more skim milk, and it wasn't all skim, but I like to get about a 2% fat. This might have been a little more than that, but it's not quite 2 years. So I think it's around 18 or 19 months. But I'm pretty happy with it. I'm quite pleased. If we give it more time, it'll even get harder.
Yeah.
So
this is still soft enough that you can still slice it a little.
Oh yeah.
You can really flake it off nicely. If you're trying to do on a recipe, you can kind of flake it, and you can grate it. But it is.
Oh, you can still grate it, but
You
it's
can
not
grate it.
like
It's
a
not
real
as hard
as a real aged Parmesan.
Well, age just another year. It would be much drier.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't really be able to slice it very well, and then you could probably only grate it, or use it more as a
Right.
grating. But this still has some moisture to it.
Yeah.
So, but it's got a lot of good earthy, rich.
I remember in my
flavor
early
going
years,
on.
I made a Parmesan with skim milk,
Mhm.
and I think it sat in the cave for like 4 years, and I don't know
Yeah.
if we ever did get it cut. It was so hard.
A little too long, maybe, Chef.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of funny when I look back on some of the times, some of the things I tried, and they didn't turn out. But you know what? All of that stuff is lessons that I've learned over the years. Mistakes I still learn from. So it was kind of fun. I think Emily probably will even remember it. I'm going to ask her. I can still
Get into it.
visualize that little wheel. It's just like a brick.
Oh my gosh.
It was unbelievable. So
Oh, that's
pretty
funny.
fun.
So the Parmesan we paired with, it's actually really nice with the cinnamon pecans. So try it with pecan, and we paired it again with the jelly.
Mm.
Totally different flavors than what it does with that whiskey hollow, but really, I liked it equally. I mean, just I thought they were both good.
Mhm.
So try with the cinnamon pecan first, and just see what you like. See how that is, and then
Mhm.
but it brings out almost more earthiness in the cheese.
Yeah,
With that pecan,
it does.
hmm So that's kind of fun.
Mhm.
And then if you put a little bit of jelly on one, try that.
And then these always work for, Parmesan works for grating on
Oh, yeah.
top of whatever, right?
Like,
Whatever you want some
I use
some
that
cheese
for
on.
quite a few different things. So, but it worked pretty well with these little pairings we had.
Wow.
We noticed when we first tried that.
Mm. Wow, the
Jelly.
finish is really different.
Yep, it's really like sweet, but it kind of mellows
Yeah.
all the cheese out and kind of it just kind of brings the whole thing down to
There's
kind
just
of
a
mellow.
slight little intenseness of
Mhm.
earthiness right there. It's kind
Yeah.
of amazing how it just goes through all different stages.
Yeah.
Fun.
So it's kind of fun with pairings, as you can totally take the same cheese and it'll come out really differently
Yeah.
with different bites. So that's kind of what we wanted to do for you guys too in the club is kind of.
So this kind of interesting too. Most Parmesan, is very, very white. But again, this has some yellowness to it because the cows run green grass. And of course, all that, the flavors will always change really with all of my cheeses, depending on what they're grazing on. But the colors do too. So with skim milk, partially skim milk and it's that yellow, we had a really green grass at that time. So it was beautiful.
It's good cheese. Well,
okay.
I think that's all for tonight. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed all your cheeses this month, and we're getting more ready for you for February. So
yeah,
that'll be a lot of fun. Let us know if you guys have any questions or comments, or if you have any feedback on, especially those newer cheeses like the Whiskey Hollow and the Java Brewlicious, that would be wonderful. You guys have a great night.
And have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.